if you ride, falling is inevitable. Girna to hai hi, right? But what matters is if you're ready for that fall when it comes, and if you're not, things can go very wrong very, very quickly. So, are you ready for that fall? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. So, if this interests you, keep watching. Now, most of the people watching this who are hopefully riders who enjoy disciplined riding will understand that even though if you're very careful, riding is a risky hobby, and that eventual fall that is coming, right? One can only be ready for it, prepared for it, and the way that you can display this readiness, at least according to me, is through three aspects. The first one is gears, second one is financial independence or whatever products that you have bought, say health insurance, and the third is a more sensitive topic, which is a conversation with your family. If you're younger, then it's probably with your parents. And if you're a little bit older like me, then it's with your better half and your family members. So these three factors kind of indicate how ready you are for that fall when it comes. The first item on the list on how you can be ready for that fall is gear, right? Riding gear, helmets, jackets, pants, shoes, all of it is what can mitigate the damage that happens. And by mitigate means reduce the damage that happens to you when you fall. No gear can overall prevent the damage. It depends on many other factors of how you fall, how fast you fall, do you impact anything apart from just the road or the dirt. So there are many factors, but yes, gear will mitigate the damage that you experience to your body when you have a fall. And gear depends primarily upon the kind of riding you do. Do you like touring? Then your gear should be able to take a lot of abrasion, because that's the kind of damage that you will be facing most of the time. When you say have an accident and you're going to skid on the tarmac, then you need to have abrasion resistance and some level of impact resistance. If you like doing off-road, then the game changes, because in most cases you're not going to be going very fast, but you're going to be going over tricky terrain, which can cause a lot of impact damage. So your gear will probably be external hard plastic and internal foam, so that it stops any bones from kind of damaging your ribs, internal organs on your chest, on your elbow. And for your legs, you'll probably have something called as a knee brace. You might have a neck brace, and of course there are different shoes that are available for off-roading as well that will prevent your ankle from over twisting and breaking. Now that I've talked about gear, of course, good gear comes at a cost, right? But it needs to be looked at, I feel, as an investment in your better health when you do have a fall. I have a personal story to me where I wanted to buy these knee braces which come from Liat, and the price was very expensive, some 35,000, 40,000. And I thought, okay, I'll defer it. I was planning a trip abroad, so I thought I'll get it from there because it'll be a little bit cheaper over there. And before I could get them, I had a fall where, although I was wearing riding gear, but the riding gear was designed for road use and not off-road use. And I unfortunately twisted my knee and tore my ACL. And the medical costs for the recovery in terms of reconstructive surgery, medication, so on and so forth, is now 2.5 lakhs plus, and it's still counting because I still have many more months of recovery ahead of me. So where 40,000 and where 2.5 lakhs, right? That's that's the kind of difference that gear can make. Yes, there's no guarantee that the knee brace would have stopped the injury, but maybe I would not have completely torn my ACL. It might have been a minor tear which the body could have fixed on its own, or maybe just a longer period of rest would have been able to fix it. But that's it. I mean, the cost was a little bit high for that gear, and I did not invest. And now I have paid at least 6 times the cost of that gear in medical expenses. So that's what I wanted to say. That gear, you should think of it as an investment in terms of deterring your hospital bills whenever you do have this inevitable fall. Now let's talk about the second point, which is financial readiness. How financially ready are you to feel the costs of recovery whenever you are having this eventual fall, right? Now there are two factors to it. As we mentioned, gear can protect you, but it can only mitigate the damage, reduce the damage, and it will not 100% stop the damage, right? Now what one can do in this space is be financially ready, keep some money aside in case of emergencies, where you have some cash at hand in case there is something that's required. And of course, this fund doesn't have to be dedicated to your riding related injuries only. It could be your common emergency fund that you have kept aside. You can also invest in good health insurance, which can help you cover most of the costs of the damage or the recovery that is required from any injuries that you have sustained. I just now spoke about how I had to spend about 2.5 lakh rupees in medical bills for my ACL reconstruction, and touch wood, all is well. I had really good health insurance, which fielded most of the cost for the doctor's visits, the MRIs, the surgery in general, the hospital room. Overall, a lot of the cost was borne by the insurance, and thankfully that saved me from probably deep diving into some of my investments that I've made for maybe getting a bike or a camera or any other life goal that I might have, and you too might be having, right? So health insurance, one thing. And there's a couple of stories that I recently felt uh, indicate how financial readiness can help you and lack of it can cause a big issue. So recently there was this lady who was traveling from Bombay to Pune or Pune to Bombay on the motorcycle, and she had a major accident on the old highway. And I think there was a message going around on Instagram saying that the cost of her recovery for surgery or whatever medical expenses that were there is 15 lakh rupees. And the family, despite their attempts, needed more help from the general public to be able to take care of this person. Now, thankfully, this person was a little bit better known in the riding community, so the message snowballed and lots of people donated money. But just imagine, like, you are in the hospital bed somewhere and you're in a coma, and because you're not prepared, your family has to run around asking for help from strangers for money to save your life, right? And I don't blame her, not at all. She had a misfortune in terms of the accident. I hope she's recovering very well. But uh, we can be a little bit more responsible because we are the ones who are getting the joy out of riding, and we shouldn't be putting financial pressures like this on our parents or any your family members in this situation, right? So being ready in terms of having that financial backing with you is always a good idea when it comes to managing the real cost of that fall in terms of medical expenses. Now, let's talk about the final point that we mentioned earlier is the discussion with your family. And I think this is the key point. Many of us love riding. We have a bike, but we don't tell our family members where we are going, how we are riding. Are we riding aggressively? Are we how well prepared are we? How many kind of people are there in your group? These discussions in the end need to be had with your family. If you are a part of a riding group, your family should have a couple of the numbers of the riding group members, so that in case there is an issue they can quickly get in touch. When you're going for a long trip, whether if you're living in a different town away from your family should be made aware of what your route is, approximately what time you're going to reach that location, so that they are aware. And during the stops you kind of give them a call or just a WhatsApp, giving them your status, where you have reached, if you're okay, how many miles more you're going to cover in that day, just to give them a heads up of where you are, and it kind of settles down their anxiety. I think that's very important. But more importantly, in case that there is a mishap, they are at least aware of where you are planning to go, and they can arrange for help, or uh, understand the local situation in terms of healthcare institutions that are there in that area, and where you could have been taken to in case there is a mishap, so that they know that there is a plan of action. And of course, apart from this, you need to tell your family about your passion for riding and help them understand the passion, so that when there is a negative outcome, which is this falling business, they support you in their own way, and they're not like, "Arey, we used to tell you don't do this, why you did." All that negative conversation, negative emotion doesn't come into the picture. Tell them that it's a hobby, that this is something that makes life better for you, and if you enjoy it so much, then you are going to carry on doing it. But like, please accept this hobby of mine, sort of a thing, right? Because in the end they are your family, and when you are in trouble, they are the ones who will most likely help you out. And as a side note, ride with people who you believe will take care of you, and people you know that you will take care of in case something happens to them. If that kind of a mutual feeling is not there with your riding group, don't ride with them. It's just that simple. I've heard stories where uh, a person went on a ride with a riding group, met with an accident, and nobody was willing in that group to take that person to the hospital, saying that they will get stuck with the police related inquiries and businesses and all of that, the overall work that is required. Nobody was willing to take this chap who was bleeding out to a hospital because of this. Some Thankfully some other person stepped up, and they were able to take this person to the hospital. Unfortunately, this person did not make it, and during this entire conversation where the person was being taken and all of that, some people from that riding community or whatever told the person who is taking the injured boy to the hospital that please don't include our name in this whole affair. And that, when I heard this story, I was shocked. So that's, I would like to end with that final point. If you're riding with people who you think are not going to help you, and you feel that you wouldn't help them if they had a fall, don't ride with them. Ride with somebody who you trust, and who you would also like to take care of. And with that, I'm closing this vlog. It's been almost 2 months since I have not created content like this, because I'm recovering from my ACL reconstruction. And hopefully I'll bring up similar topics like this which require more of a conversation rather than being out there riding, in terms of what we can talk about in terms of bikes and gears and stuff like that. So that's it from my side. Thanks for watching. Hope you're staying safe, and take it easy out there. Cheers.